the land use approvals that are pending. Two, one of the more interesting facets of the valuation is it's zoned for one-family houses. So it has some unique characteristics besides the fact that it's vacant land, which is essentially what the sale is in 2005. There are no comparable land sales. It's 12 plus acres of land in a very commercial location next to 2 interstate ramps.
I suppose there's no plans to build single-family housing now?
Yes. The latest plan, as I understand it, is to construct multi-story buildings involving commercial use on the first few levels, and I believe it's rental apartments above that. One of the interesting factors is you get up above about the 3rd or 4th stories, they have a beautiful view of the Long Island Sound.
I mean, talk about egregious. You know, Restaurant Depot has a bid on it, I understand, from the village of $12 million. It's correct. Restaurant Depot on, what was it, North Regent? What's that street? South Regent Street?
Yes.
On a hill, it's a $12 million bid, and they're sitting on $24 million of the, what we're saying is $24 million of the most beautiful property, potentially in Westchester County with the views of the Sound. And so, so Starwood may be the first to hit our wall of shame if they don't, come and negotiate in good faith.
So I guess my question is that since it's such a unique property, do we need specialized counsel to do this sort of negotiations, or we're just going to...
No, I mean, we're pretty comfortable because, as Mitchell said, we have a value from 4 years ago when it was sold, and candidly, that's the number that is the most accurate number, because what's more reliable than what a willing buyer will pay?
Right.
If it got to the point where we thought we have an issue, I would recommend special counsel, but I think Aldo is experienced enough to handle it. I don't think it's that extraordinary from a legal standpoint.
Right.
The real challenge may be on the appraisal side in terms of the appraiser we get. Some properties, like with golf courses and other unique properties, we need a specialized appraiser to be able to give us the value. But from the legal standpoint, it isn't as complicated.
Okay.
Now, Vision Appraisal will have visited this property, right?
That's correct.
What are they telling you?
They don't tell me anything at this point. We haven't reached the
point. They may not have gotten there.
They have visited all the commercial properties in the town. They're in the process of doing all the inventory.
Okay, but just pull the guy aside and say, what do you think? Okay, just do me a favor. I apologize. I know it's not a formal analysis, but if you could just pull him aside and say, hey, have I got something wrong here based on what you're seeing, or do we have a good case?
Well, we have an arm's length sale. That's the best case.
Obviously.
Apropos of these resolutions, I met last week with Mitch, Mr. Vitigliano, Mr. Binder, and Mr. Soretto from the Village of Portchester to discuss our search strategy and to bring Portchester into the loop and talk about some of these cases. We're actually in very good shape in terms of any exposure from Portchester, at least for the balance of this year. We don't have a lot of cases on the horizon where we think there's a lot of exposure. But we made it very clear that our position is, based on the board's directive, we're going to aggressively defend and oppose these actions. We're going to be making motions to dismiss where we think, the numbers are really egregious, to use your term. So
Well, what I'd like is to be prepared for the next board meeting is our bar report. We now have trending. We have 3 years experience. We're finally keeping the data, and I think it's we were very hopeful that we would secure legislation this year, and I think once we make that report, we need to go to each of the schools, the school boards, and present our case. We need to go to each of the villages, because at the end of the day, we're not fighting for our money for the town. We're fighting for money for the schools. And we should make the schools aware, we're getting, as we've again discussed, I won't go into the longer rant, but we are penalized as a reval community when in fact we should be benefited as a reval community. So now we have 3 years of data. I want to pull together, the information for the next board meeting, and then do a presentation to each of our local municipalities, so they're they're much more familiar with this issue, and they support us and behind us on this legislation. Where all we're asking is that the 4-year gun to our head be taken away, and that we immediately be able to prosecute these egregious, assessments.
Complaints. The assessments are fair.
Yeah,
Complaints that are not fair.
assertions of value. Right. Good. Okay. Thank you very much. Any comments?
So,
Please.
that being said, I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolutions
B and C together?
B and C together, obviously as written.
Second.
Delphi,
Aye.
Mendocino,
Aye.
Myers, Villanova.
Yes.
Hardy.
Yes. Do we have to do anything with Mr. Richards' nomination to the bar?
No, I think this is just for our records. That it was, we appointed him, and, right, we did the last meeting. I think we made the appointment.
And this is a
Portchester has
Portchester,
ratified it, so.
but it's a Village of Portchester nomination,
Correct.
correct?
This is a Portchester seat on the PA.
So, okay, so the Village of Portchester has recommended that Dr. Richards go to the Board of Assessment Review. And in fact, one thing I don't think we've done a good job of is enlisting the support of the Board of Assessment Review in our certiorari fight. So, Mr. Markowitz, would you do me a favor and set up a meeting with the Board of Assessment Review for yourself, myself, and Mr. Noto?
Certainly.
For some time,
Alternative dates.
yeah, anytime this Friday or Monday. is good for me, or whenever we can organize it. But I want to.
Maybe I'll let you know.
Well, anytime for me, you think. Good. Well, congratulations, Dr. Richards. Crawford Park policy?
Yep.
Please.
We've been talking about a lot of things in terms of Crawford Park. What we have in front of you now is, I call it the policy matrix. We really need a little bit more direction from the council, but I would like to walk you through this and suggest that perhaps we have something more definitive at next meeting. We have 3 venues at Crawford Park that we charge money for, that we look at from an event standpoint, and that's the mansion, the picnic pavilion, and the ball fields that are there. The first item here is that we are recommending the council establish a season for each of those venues. In the case of the mansion, we're looking at using the mansion year-round, except for holidays. Right now, for example, we have no restriction on holidays, and if people come in and ask for events, we have allowed that to happen. Frankly, this puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the staff because the staff doesn't get off. So we would like to see the park, in effect, when I say closed for events, for private and public type events. On the pavilion, which is outdoors, we would want it to establish an April 1st to October 31st season. Weather prior to April 1st tends to be iffy. Also, we are working furiously to get the grounds in shape for April 1st, and we're doing things like seating and aerating and so forth. Again, we want to accept holidays in that case. And then lastly, the same thing with the fields, and what we've experienced on the fields, we'd like to establish April 15th to October 31st as the season for the fields, again, accepting holidays. When we say that, what we're looking at is we're not prohibiting the general public from going up there, walking the pathways, walking their dog, having their children play in the playground and those kinds of things. What we're talking about here is allowing either private or public events on those particular days and at those times. Also, we wanted to establish some specific hours of operation. Right now, we're running pretty much till midnight. We have had some neighborhood complaints. So again, what you're seeing is for the mansion, we're looking at 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and stopping events at 11 p.m. in the mansion. Just by way of reference, the Basilico